We've been talking about a person you know who has an interesting job. I'd like to discuss with you one or two more general questions relating to this. First, let's consider choosing a job. Who can best advise young people about jobs? Parents or teachers?
Someone might be, a lot of people I feel might be inclined to say that the parents should be more important, but because they say that parents know their children the best because they've been around them the most. But I think that's only partially true because uh, teachers interact with their kids in a different capacity and might know a different side of them that the children would be wouldn't be as comfortable showing around the parents. And so that really I think that both are quite important, but I'd lean closer towards the teacher because they're closer in an academic sense.
What is the most important thing to consider when choosing a job?
One, well, sadly, I've only had one job my whole life, and that's just being self employed with my parents. In my opinion, though, probably one of the most important things is how miserable is it going to make you? Well, that's being pessimistic. How miserable or happy? Because, if it's going to make you feel absolutely atrocious every day, then you won't be able to last. Of course, some people aren't able to choose that, which is unfortunate.
Let's talk about different ways of working now. Is it better to work for a small company or a large international company?
Working with an international company brings you like a lot of connections and recognition and all that sort of thing. But I prefer I prefer working with a small company or even a family owned business because it's much more personal and close that way. Instead of Whereas the corporate machine can feel like a machine, and that can be extremely draining to a person.
What are the advantages and disadvantages of working from home?
Of I think the biggest advantage is that you don't have to commute, and that's hundreds of hours of your life that you gain back, right? Depending on how far you would have been commuting. But of course, one of the disadvantages is that oftentimes you don't. Well, especially for certain types of people who are more introverted, you don't go out much, and so you start having to put effort into leaving the house in order to stay healthy.
Finally, let's talk about having a successful career. Many people say that learning from mistakes is the key to a successful career. Do you agree with this view?
Wholeheartedly, because there's only so much that foresight can bring you. You can't predict everything, and so making mistakes is an inevitable part of the process. And indeed, it's it's by learning mistakes that most progress in the world today is made. For example, laws and regulations, most of those were made after some tragic accident that forced people to consider.
Thank you. That is the end of the exam.